This is the B-Side Book Reviews, and we are still working on the Reader's Digest Condensed books. We are now on story number 3, which is entitled Trail. And it is written by Louis Charbonneau, I believe is the way that last name is pronounced. We'll just call him Mr. Louis. Okay, let's do this. Trail. Road trip. Well, actually, we're looking at more of a river rafting trip here. Up a river, that is. A long ways up a river. Yes, we're hopping onto a boat with a couple of gents named Meriwether and William, better known as Lewis and Clark. Yes, it's the year 1803, and as soon as the check clears for the Louisiana Purchase, President Jefferson hires Lewis to go out and see just what $15 million bought back in 1803. So, Lewis hooks up with Clark, grabs a few soldiers, hires a few river rats, and away we go up the Missouri River. Oh yes, before they take off, Lewis buys a Newfoundland pup from some kid for $20. $20? That's like $10 million in today's money. Oh, heavens. Not only that, but a full-grown Newfoundland dog can tip the scales at around 175 pounds. Better bring along an extra raft just for the kibbles and bits. Of course, the worst thing about Lewis's canine companion is that because of the dog being of a coastal breed, Lewis names him Seaman. Seaman. Yeah, I bet that was the blunt of a few jokes along the trip. Poor dog. Okay, after a little web research, I found that maybe $20 for a purebred Newfoundland pup wasn't such a bad deal after all back then. Okay, that was about $400 in today's money. And so far, the cheapest present-day pup I found was like $350, and they go up to nearly $3,000. But the name Seaman? Seriously? Seaman? And Newfoundland is not an easy word to say. How come he couldn't have got a beagle or something? So the book is more or less just an account of our merry explorers basically paddling their way up the Missouri with the big idea of reaching the Pacific coast. Okay, the weird thing about this, well, weird to me anyway, is that the Louisiana Purchase didn't go all the way to the ocean. It just kind of goes to Idaho or around there and kind of fizzles out. Oh well. Never argue with a guy who is packing a 175-pound pooch with him. And of course, as all history buffs know, Lewis and Clark hooked up with a little teenager named Saga, who was very knocked up at the time. And she kind of gave them the tour, so to speak. Now, I'm not so sure I'd put the fate of my expedition in the hands of a 15-year-old. But this was 1803, where a 15-year-old was like a 32-year-old by today's standards. And I wonder if he asked her if he could call her by another name. Sacagawea. Hey, do you mind if we just call you, I don't know, Nancy, Betty, Ruth, anything? I've already got a dog named Seaman. Gee. And of course, this was not only an exploration, but it was also a goodwill venture to tell the natives of the land that, oh, by the way, we just bought your land from France, which I'm guessing was met with, what is France? And they said, oh, it's a country somewhere over in Europe that's run by this little short guy, way over there somewhere. What is Europe? Oh, what's it? Just never mind. Just never mind. So, when Lewis and Clark would meet with the local natives of the land, they would have a council with them. And Lewis would explain to them how they had a new leader. No longer were they under French rule, but now the red children had a great new white father in Washington. Now, I just have to imagine what thoughts were going on through the natives' minds when they heard that little bit of information. They were probably like, we're no longer under French rule, and now our leader is some guy in Washington? What? Look, dude, my leader is that guy sitting down there on that log, toking on his pipe. You see him? That guy right there. Yeah, that's my leader. I don't know what the heck you're talking about. Now, who are you again? White man must have discovered our mushroom stash. He be under powerful hallucinations. Yeah, it had to be a little confusing for everyone, and a little downright kind of touchy and, I don't know, degrading maybe? Now, as crazy as the natives must have thought Lewis and Clark were, they all seemed pretty impressed with the dog named Seaman. And they all wanted to make trades for the huge canine. Big pooch looking mighty tasty. Yeah. Now, Lewis never made the trade for his seaman. Jeez. Apparently, the natives weren't making the proper offers. If they really wanted the big pup, they should have offered up the services of some of their less than moral women of their tribe. After all, these were a bunch of rowdy dudes who had been on a raft with nothing but men and a large dog to look at since St. Louis. I have a feeling their answer then would have been along the lines of, women? Well, heck yeah! You can have the mutt! Take him! Take him right now! Him and his stupid name! Take him! Now, the weird part of reading this book, for me anyway, was trying to separate the fact from fiction. At first, I thought this was taken from some historical journal of the actual expedition of Lewis and Clark. But at the end, our author tells us that this is a story, not an account. I am a novelist, not a historian, our author notes at the end of the story. Maybe that quote should have been at the beginning of the story. Now, there were a few accounts that I thought were a bit too detailed, like the time our Newfoundland pooch almost met his end in the river when Lewis sent his seaman after an attractive beaver. Oh boy. Now, I had to question the sanity of this, not to mention the wording of it. Now, do these idiots not know how big a freaking beaver is? Not to mention, they have teeth that chop down trees. Literally. Big teeth. Real big teeth. Quite frankly, the main reason that I thought this story was taken from some journal was because it was all pretty darn boring. Now, if it were indeed a novel, our author should have spiced things up a bit. In the book, when they come across a grizzly bear for the first time, well, they merely shoot the poor beast and eat it. Come on, let's throw in some violent drama. It's a dang grizzly bear. Let's have it, I don't know, decapitate one of the minor characters that we don't need later on. Or at least maybe tear somebody's leg off or something like that. Or, if that doesn't work, we could add a little romance to our story. Now, since the only woman on board was Sacagawea, and she was very pregnant and very married, I guess we would just have to improvise. Who knows? Maybe those backcountry trappers they met on the trip might have developed a few alternative tastes for romance after being so secluded. I could just see them. Oh, Capitan Louis, you are a handsome devil, And I do adore a man in uniform. Yeah, that might work. Just give me something. Give me something! Anything! Please. Anything, not a dog named Seaman. That's not good. Of course, no spoilers here, mainly because history already tells us how this story ends. Yes, they finally find the Pacific Ocean and they just kind of look at it and go, yeah, well, yep, that's the ocean. Yep. Okay, I guess we'll head back now. At least they could have, like, I don't know, broke out their boards and caught some tasty waves or something. Instead, they just pack up their seaman dog and head on back home. At least the trip on the Missouri now went downstream. So if nothing else, this book, I don't know, made me want to head to the mountains. However, that was about it. Yeah,